Mitchell, if you can,
Yep.
of course, I'm sure you can. Could you run us through the process of an auction from start to finish for you arriving on the scene?
Auction is very, very simple. I'll usually arrive sort of 20 minutes, 25 minutes before.
Yeah.
I'll greet the agent, then I'll go and greet the owner, and then I'll have a brief walk around the property. Usually 24 hours prior to the day, I've contacted the owner and I've also contacted the agent to find out the estimated sale price, the likely reserve price, and how much interest they have leading into the campaign.
Okay.
Also the level of market feedback and how many offers, if any, have been presented to the owner prior to. So I'd like to be nice and informed prior to arriving on the day. I'll simply arrive, again, greet the agent, go over my numbers, usually get handed the reserve letter.
Yep. They may have slept on it and changed their mind
Very
a little
common,
bit.
very common. The other misconception with the reserve, you're legally required to set a reserve in Queensland, because if you don't, you are, by law, you have to accept the highest bid on the day.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
even if it's $1.
Wow.
So it's in your best interest as an owner to, of course, set a reserve.
Yep.
So,
Okay,
I'll greet the owner, introduce myself, have a talk to them about strategy, what we're likely going to do, what are the likely scenarios that's going to happen on the day, have a brief walk around the property that I think are the key selling features that I'd like, or the features and benefits I'd like to discuss in my tear-jerking pre-event spiel. And then, get a brief understanding of the buyers, maybe introduce myself. If a buyer's particularly nervous, I might explain to them that this is not an environment that we're trying to put a sort of boiler room high pressure tactic. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a very transparent, open, calm environment. It certainly won't be sort of cattle style auctioneering. It'll be very simple. And I also advise them, if at any point they're uncomfortable, unaware of the bid, unaware of the amount of the bid, or would like to reduce the amount they're about to bid, please be open with me there.
Understood. Very good. And then conduct?
And then usually we do 5 minutes before the auction, we do a pre-run to say we'll be conducting the auction, where we'll be conducting the auction, a brief summary of the terms and the conditions in the contract, a reminder that you need to be registered 5 minutes prior to. Again, I'll meet with the agent, get a final summary of how many bidders and who I should be looking for. And then we like to start absolutely sharp, get to work. Midday auction, we start at midday on the dot as a courtesy to the buyers and their neighbours, and of course our owner and the agent. We start there on the dot, we'll read out the terms and conditions, the contract of sale. You don't legally have to, but we do it as a courtesy to the buyers to make sure there's no confusion. Usually a bit of a discussion around the property, and then we open the floor to the bidding.
Okay.
That's where the buyers will nominate a figure, or alternatively, I'll nominate a figure at which we'll enter into a negotiation with the owner.
Excellent. So the process is completed, and let's assume, so there are two options really. There's the passing in,
Yes.
or there's the sale.
Yes.
So either of those occurs.
Yep.
You are finished there, or do you have to sign something, or what happens there?
So when the property's passed in, it means that the bidding hasn't reached the reserve price, and then it's basically passed in and it goes to a normal negotiation for sale campaign, so to speak. If the property is sold under the hammer, then you are, or the highest registered bidder who is sold to them, all they're required to do is fill out the nominated forms that have been on display. However, when they register to bid, they do warrant their ability to enter and complete the contract, and I may sign on their behalf as the auctioneer, and also on behalf of the seller. Very common with deceased estates and mortgagee and bankruptcy sales.
So you would sign on behalf of the vendor, because it's unlikely that it's a person.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, it could be an entity or
Correct.
someone that doesn't live in that area.
Yes.
Excellent.